Okay. Okay. Welcome to our next presentation on allocations and how to get on a supercomputer. And this one is a follow-up to our talk on Tuesday where we told you how to apply for an account. Now, once you have an account, there's a lot of confusion about how to go about logging into the system, what your responsibilities are, how do you even get started. So we are going to talk about those issues on this talk. And first of all, we've already covered create accounts. There are two kinds of accounts, the XSEED account and NICS Director discretionary accounts. They have slightly different processes, and there are some...
Full screen?
Oh. Okay. There are some caveats to each of these accounts, and they differ slightly. So we'll cover those differences. First thing I want to cover is the user responsibility page. Both XSEED and NICS have responsibility pages that cover what you can and cannot do with the system, what you are agreeing to when you use the systems. The first step in each one of these pages and these policies is never ever to share your account. Surprisingly enough, it is the most abused policy that we've come across. And what we really like you to understand is that when you get the keys to these systems, you are allowed to use multi-million-dollar resources. And when you get keys to a multi-million-dollar powerful resource, it is not acceptable to just hand off the keys to another person. So account sharing is taken very seriously, and at NICS for certain, if we find you are sharing your account, either your account or perhaps your even entire project will be disabled until we can clear that account, and all the users will have legal access to the system. Please read these and take these very seriously. There are several ways to log into the system, and the easiest way, the newest and easiest way through an XSEED system has been just added, and it's called the Single Sign-On Hub, Login Hub. It is incredibly easy to use, and it gives access to all of your XSEED accounts. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you and show you how to log in through the XSEED User Hub. I'm going to SSH my username.
Can you make it font size?
Yeah, do you know how to do that? Edit shell.
You can just do it.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Right here.
There we go. Okay, so it's SSH and my username and login .xseed.org. And it's going to prompt me now for my XSEED user password. I'm logged into the system now, and once I'm logged in, it gives me a list of all the systems that I have access to, and it tells me how to log into that particular system. This is using GSI SSH technology, and as you see, I'm going to go ahead and log into Kraken. So I'm going to follow the instructions and do GSI SSH Kraken gsi.nix.xseed, oops, I missed my dot, XSEDE.org. Logged into Kraken. So that's simple, it's very quick, very easy, and for what I have found, it seems to be much faster than some of the other ways to log in through the GSI technology. this off now. Okay. That was simple. Now here are the other two logins that you can use through Exceed. This one has been used for quite a while. However, it depends on a Java terminal coming up, and you'll have to make sure that your browser software is correct and your Java is correct. And then there's also the GSI SSH desktop client, and if you'll go to the web page, there's a download for that. Okay, now these are very, very common questions, and they come up on a weekly basis, so I think it's worth covering. First of all, we get a lot of questions regarding, I opened an Exceed account this morning, and I got an email saying my account was established, but I can't log into the system. The question for that is, while you may have an Exceed account, that has not yet been ported out to the different resources. Every single one of the sites that supports a system has their own method to create accounts, and Exceed has to first send them an electronic packet. They have to process those packets and create an account for you there. Once that's done, the processes continue to be different at each site because every provider determines how they're going to deal with their accounts. The other thing is, and Nix does have a completely different process because, as you'll see later on, Nix does have the one-time password technology, and that does take an extra day or two in order to set up accounts on the token file. So the other one we come across is, well, I got my account, I can successfully log into some of the Exceed resources, but I can't log into the Nix resources. And this is what we'll get is a permission denied notice. That is most likely because your account has either not been completed yet or you have not completed the processes that Nix requires in order to activate your account. Once your account is complete, your OTP token is in the database and everything is ready so that you could log into the system, you'll receive an email like this from Accounts at Nix, and it will give you information. It's a little longer than this, but the basics are it'll give you your username, your project, your PI, how you can log in, different logins to the system, and it also tells you that you have to go to your Nix portal account in order to validate your information and activate your account. This is really important. If you don't do this, your account will not be enabled. It remains disabled until this is completed. Along with this email, on the bottom of this email, there will be a PDF attached, and that also covers your user responsibilities, which we've already covered. We don't share accounts. Once you go to your user portal and you activate your account, you will get an automatic email from Accounts at Nix that tells you, all right, your account is enabled. Here's how you can go in and log into the system. It also gives you instructions on how to request an OTP token. Even if you are required to use an OTP token will not be generated unless you send an email to Accounts at Nix with your address and a request for that. So please make sure you do that. Also, at the PDF is also attached that has our policies and the Nix token activation form. I believe is next. The Nix token activation form, this is how we verify that the person who actually has the token and has legal access to the system is exactly the person who should access the system. You will receive this an electronic copy, and you'll also receive a copy with your token when it's mailed. This has to be filled out, and it has to be either notarized or signed by a NICS employee. Once you have this filled out, we'll accept a scanned copy, emails, but we must have the original for our file. So please be sure to mail that. Anyone who is outside of the U.S. and they don't use a notary system, we will use whatever identity, services, and what's standard for that country. So if you have any questions, just send questions to either help@XSEED or accounts@NICS, and we'll take care of that for you. Okay, the NICS user portal. We already pointed this out, that this is where you have to verify your information. You have to give them your, you verify that your address is correct, you verify your citizenship, and also accept our user policies. The other thing that's really nice about the NICS portal is that you can do, if you're on more than one project, you can go in and set your default project there, or if you prefer a different shell, that you can go in and change the shell on that. I actually have one up if you want to see. I have my portal up, and as you can see, I could change my default project. I am logged out, and I will use my OTP to log back in. Oh, I can't. I disabled myself. We'll have to pass on that one for now. But there's also a pull-down menu to change your default shell. Okay. Now, here comes the biggest misconception of NICS. It is rumored and understood that you cannot log into any NICS system without an OTP token, and that is not correct. NICS does support all the XSEED logins for XSEED accounts. Now, what is an OTP token? The question is it's a good one. It stands for one-time password, and it's an electronic token which these numbers change every 30 seconds. And used in combination with your PIN number, this is a relatively, very highly secure way to log into a system. So these tokens are used in military and government sites in order to protect our data. When do you need an OTP token? Well, first of all, if you do not have an XSEED account, XSEED is where we get our GSI authentication. So if you don't have an XSEED account, then you will not have the access to GSI. If you do have an XSEED account, then you can use any of these forms of authentication onto our systems. The only time that's an exception to that is if you have storage on our high-performance storage system. That does require an OTP token. Okay. Now, if you believe you require an OTP token, like I said before, you have to send the email to accounts@NICS in order to get one generated for you. Okay, now, how to activate the OTP token. They are not active when we send them in the mail. They are not active until you complete the entire process of sending back your token form and verifying everything. Once that's done, we'll send you an email that will go over how to set the PIN. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that for you, too. Here is okay. I'm going to reset my token PIN number. Oh, yeah. What was it?
Apple.
Oh, okay.
Plus.
There we go. Okay. Now, the first passcode that they ask for is just the numbers that are on your token. Since you don't have a PIN yet, there's nothing you can put in there except the numbers on the token itself. Success. Now, it's going to ask me, am I ready to enter a PIN? Absolutely, yes. The numbers that you choose is very important. You're going to be adding 6 numbers to the numbers down here. So, between 4 and 8 digits, if you do 8, you're going to have 14 numbers to put in every time. So I personally choose 4, but you cannot use letters. You cannot use any kind of letters, so your dog's name is safe. All right, now I entered it. It wants me to re-enter to make sure I didn't do a typo. Okay, my new PIN is accepted. Enter to continue. Now, every time I log in to the resource, I'm going to type the PIN number that I just entered, plus the number that's on my token. And now I'm in. Another thing you might want to keep in mind is when you first activate your account, there has to be a cron job that runs that will create your Luster file system. So you won't be able to see that you have your Luster storage, which we'll cover in a minute, but it will be created within an hour. Okay, now, how are the local NICS direct accounts, discretionary accounts, different? Well, first, as we covered before, that XSEDE has no idea or any kind of input or insight into discretionary accounts. So because, like I said, because the GSI login credentials are provided through XSEDE, you will have to use an OTP token unless you also have an XSEDE account. An example for me, I have both XSEDE and NICS accounts. I can log into all of my NICS projects using my XSEDE credentials. I can run jobs on every single one of my projects, XSEDE or local, it's irrelevant. But for actually logging in, if you only have a NICS discretionary, you will be using currently an OTP access token. Additionally to that, there are a couple of systems that we support at NICS that are not allocated through XSEDE, and we have to add additional hardware in order to support the GSI login. So until those systems get a GSI node on them, they will be OTP only. So it'll vary by system and by account type. Okay, now another common question is, I've been a NICS user for a long time, and all of a sudden I can't log in. Why is that? Well, most likely that is because NICS does disable accounts if they are not accessed for 90 consecutive days. So if you have not accessed your account for 90 days, your account will automatically go to disabled. All you have to do is open a help ticket by sending an email to help@xsede.org, and we'll get that enabled for you. But you also should keep in mind that once the account is re-enabled, it is only valid for 5 days, or it will again disable. However, if you do log in, every time you log in, the 90-day timer is set. So, and that does happen. We do have people open tickets and then, go off for the weekend and forget, and then they're really frustrated because when they go back, they still can't get in. The other possibility is that your project is expired, and if you have no valid project, you have no access to the system. So you need to make sure that what your expiration dates are in your project. If you have a negative balance with an XSEDE account, XSEDE will disable those accounts and make them inactive on the XSEDE side. However, NICS does not disable negative accounts. We will let you continue to submit jobs, but it will require an OTP token to do that because you won't get those credentials to log in. Once your jobs are submitted under a negative allocation, They will not run unless all the positive balance jobs are in good shape and running. So you can get jobs through, you'll just be in a very degraded state to do that. Okay, some other basic questions about your NICS account. The first one is, well, how big is my home directory? And, you know, you get 2 gigabytes of your home directory, and that is on an NFS file system. That file system is backed up, but this is not really where you're going to be doing all your work. This is really for your scripts and things like that. So 2 gigabyte really doesn't sound like much, but we can increase it if it's necessary, but it's usually enough for what you need it for. The second file system that we have is the Luster Scratch file system. Currently, we do not have any limits on how much data you store there, but it's incredibly important for you to understand this data is not backed up. This is absolutely a Scratch directory, so if you have something that's critical, you must find a place to store it. So make sure you back up anything that's really, really critical. Also, if you have a group that's all working on one project and they all need access to these files and they all need access to this code, we can create a project directory for you where everybody can have access to that and you don't have to keep repeating, storing the same data. Okay, so reference material, there's much reference material, but for the absolutely, when you're first getting started, our main page has a quick start guide, new to HPC, and the fact pages are, I think, probably the first places you should go to. User responsibilities, everyone should take a look at that, and we have a getting started page. XSEED has their usage policies. XSEED.org has tons of links. And XSEED has a wonderful page, their knowledge base, and I'll actually just bring those up to give you a quick look at what those look like. Okay, this is our home page, which we're pleased with. Quick start guide. It'll go through all kinds of information you can find on the system, transferring files, compiling, how to run jobs, debugging. Another good link is new to HPC. And here's the software, it leads you to the software page so you can find out what software is available on the system. And if you have a question you think may come up a lot, you can actually look on our frequently asked questions page, and you'll probably find some of those questions will be there. Seed. Okay, let's find the XSEED. I have it. Knowledge base. Great. Okay. And another getting started, documentation. So there's just tons of help, but the absolute all and be all of help is right here, help@xseed.org. If you really are stuck, if you're stuck with your program, you're stuck with your compiling, send it on email to help@xseed.org, and we'll be happy to help you and get you moving on the system.
Any questions? All right, thank you.